tried to turn on the heater last night for the first time,
And you make a
and
buoy?
all the alarms
Almost.
started going off. Like I didn't even know that our smoke alarm could do this, but it literally started to tell us to go outside to evacuate immediately.
What?
It said fire detected. Evacuate.
Yeah,
Oh, that's creepy.
it was, and then not only that, we were like in the middle of watching a scary movie, and this movie was actually scary.
So it freaked
Like
you
it
Yeah.
guys
was,
out.
we found another good movie, and I can't remember what is it called. Oh, is it called Complay? I think it's called Complay.
Yeah.
And so we're right in the middle of watching this. We're watching this movie, but it was cold. And so I was like, you know what? Let's go turn on. I'm gonna turn on the heater. It's the first time we've turned it on all, since the summer and everything. And I told Noodles, I was like, I'm already expecting it. Like usually when we turn it on after like a long time, we can start smelling like the little dust burning off, you know? And so I said, you know what? It might start smelling like that's okay. And then all of a sudden, like it did, it started smelling like a
Hmm.
little bit of burn. But then it's like, I don't know, I could smell it. I have like a very keen sense of smell, so I could smell it a lot. And Noodles, you were saying like, well, it's smelling, but
Yeah, like it just
anyway.
smelled like how it normally does when you first turn it on. That was it.
And so all of a sudden, the whole thing, like right in the middle of a scary part two, and we're watching this, and all of a sudden wah, 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 evacuate. Oh, smoke detected. Evacuate. Did it say evacuate? Just evacuate or
Yeah.
evacuate the house?
It said evacuate.
Yeah. And so first, I thought it was part of the movie because I even looked at you right the first time when it went like really loud, and I
Yeah.
was like, was that here or is that the movie or is that like the house? And Noodles was like, I think that was here. I think that was a house. And I'm like, oh my God. And then it started again. Like it started getting louder and louder and we were like, oh my God. Needless to say, we turned off the I turned off the heater because the alarm wouldn't. And then like we were walking around to see
Hmm.
because I was like, okay, do we see any smoke? And I was touching like the door where the furnace is at. I was touching the door to see if it was hot. And I mean, it wasn't, but we still were like, okay, no. So we turned off the heater. And this whole time, the alarm is going off.
There was no fire. There was a little bit of smoke, but it was one of those you could barely see it.
Hmm.
So to me, I was just, it's the dust, it's whatever is burning in there, that like it's getting thrown into the room. Because in my room, the vent is open a lot. So
Yeah.
I was just like, damn it. And you could smell it a lot in my room, but by the time I went to bed, like the smell had already gone.
Yeah. And I mean, we turned it off and it's still like the heater was still on for a little bit after we turned it off because the house was cold. But then, I mean, nothing happened, obviously, thank God. But I'm actually kind of happy with the alarm because I've always wondered, but obviously it is very sensitive. So that was
Yeah,
good.
that was the first time that had ever really
Yeah,
happened.
yeah. But so that was our little adventure
I mean, no,
last
yeah,
night.
like, if I remember correctly, the smoke alarms for in our rooms, yeah, they're pretty, like, almost like right towards the vents. I imagine, like, any amount of smoke it was detecting is probably straight from your room.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're gonna have to wait to, I guess, clean it out. Okay,
It's
you
Cynthia's
guys.
fault.
Well, hello everybody. Today is Friday. I was about to say Monday, but no, it's Friday, November 1st. I love the first days of the month. I don't know why, but it's the first day of the month. Don't forget to blow some cinnamon into your home for prosperity and abundance. I want to start off. I saw something, the funniest thing, and I'm so glad that this happened. So I don't know if you guys heard that Trump went to Albuquerque yesterday
Oh, he did.
to try to do, one of his rallies. But, like the idiot that he is, he hadn't paid. He owes the city of Albuquerque over $200,000.
Oh my God.
And so when he landed, they were like, nope, no, sir. You're not welcomed here. You cannot do this until you pay us. write us a check. And when the check clears, so they didn't provide him with a venue, they didn't provide him with police escort, like nothing. So the dumbass literally had to he stayed just there on in the airport and had to do his little whatever rally thing there because yeah, they weren't letting him do that. And I'm like, yeah, like thank you everyone, all the cities that he owes money to, because he owes a lot of money
Yeah.
from last time. I mean, it's already been several years. And I'm thinking it's fucking time that they hold him accountable. Like, I don't
Yeah, for
understand, you
real.
know?
No, yeah, that's awesome that they did that.
And I hope that more cities start doing that because, I mean, why do they get preferential treatment? So I thought that was pretty cool. But anyways, you guys, like always, this content is for entertainment purposes only, and opinions expressed by us are our personal opinions. I just wanted to throw that out there. But anyway, I also wanted to mention the yesterday we were talking about a movie, and I was telling you guys the movie that I couldn't remember the name. Well, I searched it. It was called Parallel. Came out in 2020. You guys can view it on Peacock or Prime Video. And really quick, it's about a group of friends that find a mirror that leads to a multiverse, and they discover that sharing knowledge with the other side can be dangerous. So because I couldn't remember the name, which, oh, hello, Parallel. But I just wanted to let y'all know that I really did look it up. All right, guys, let's get into the nitty gritty here. Let's talk about what we said we were going to talk about, which is Dia De Los Muertos, Day of the Dead. So I have a question for you guys about this.
Okay.
When do you guys remember? What's your first memory of Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead? Like when you think of that, like what comes to mind?
I know it's probably gonna be a little part corny or a little funny, but I remember the first time that I heard about it, and I don't know why this keeps popping in my head because I'm pretty sure I've heard about it somewhere else. But I remember from the Wild Thornberries where Eliza and her family, they go to Mexico, and she ends up
Uh-huh.
like they end up meeting like again like in town towards small village and everything. Like she sees their family like a bunch of families and like cleaning up the graves, decorating them and everything. She asks a local there, like one of the few who actually speak English, like what's going on. So like she starts to explain to her about the Day of the Dead and everything, and she finds that pretty awesome. And she asks her family like, can they join? Like doing that, whatever. And at first they're like, no, we're just here, to be observers and like. But Dad's like, no, like we could also like maybe like join. We can ask, and if they let us, like get more experience to it. And the mom's like, okay, fine, whatever. And I think that's what
Mm-hmm.
it was. And I remember asking you, like, is that really a holiday for us? And you said yes. And I was like, why don't we celebrate it? And you're like, we never do. It's like, okay. And I just left it at that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That checks.
For me, I don't really remember like getting into the nitty gritty of it, like knowing exactly what it was. I just remember like in elementary and we had those like little art projects, and one of my teachers, she had gotten us like the outline of like a skull candy. And it was
Mm-hmm.
like I think the whole school did it, but
Mm.
like we got to like decorate however we wanted. And as we were decorating, like she told us like, oh, that they're for the Day of the Dead, and she kind of like told us how it's kind of like a celebration of the loved ones that have passed and for like people to share memories about them. I can't really remember like if I ever like asked anything else about it. I just remember hearing it, and it was just something like throughout elementary that, we would get those papers and we got to decorate them.
So, for those of you listening, in case you all don't know, we're Hispanic, we're Mexican American. That's one. Two, we live in a city that's a border city. And so the reason I'm saying this, right, is because I'm the same as you guys. When I first heard of it, I want to say I don't remember my first memory of it, but it was around elementary, definitely. Like I think I just from school and from shows. but I never, that is one thing that I don't remember me ever asking my mom about it. I just know that we didn't celebrate it. In my mind, I always thought that that was Spanish Halloween. Like, I just thought that they just called it, like, for us, it was Halloween, and in Mexico, they called it, you know, Dia de los Muertos.
Hmm.
And I just never, because we celebrated Halloween, we would go out and do trick or treating and all that.
Yeah.
So I just always thought that it was kind of the same thing. And it wasn't until the movie Coco came out that I was like, what? Like, oh my gosh, this is really the first time that I had really even like heard or even entertained about what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at that point, I did know that it had to do a little bit with, honoring the dead and stuff, but I didn't really know much
Like the
other
extent
than
of it.
that. Yeah. And then the funny thing is when my sisters and I started talking about it, because I thought it was just like, oh, it was me. I somehow missed learning about it, the real thing behind it growing up, I thought. But then when I spoke to my sisters, they said the same thing. They said no. Like, yeah. And I have one sister that she even says, she was like, that's not true. Like, they never used to celebrate that, because when we were younger, we would visit our family in Mexico. And so we don't even remember that either. Like, we don't remember them ever talking about it. We don't remember them celebrating it. But when Coco came out and everything, then, that conversation started. And I mean, now they do celebrate it, but according to them, they've celebrated all this time. And then I asked your dad about it too, and your dad said, well, yeah, like he does remember, when he was a kid in Mexico, like he does remember a little bit about that. And then my next question was, why didn't we ever celebrate it? Like, what?
Yeah.
So that was a big eye opener for me. But so let me explain a little bit about because now for this, this topic, I said, well, okay, I guess I better get educated. I mean, that's horrible because honestly, this is a long time coming. So I'll read to you guys. I found this, the website is dayofthedead.holiday, and it says it's a dedication to the deceased. Day of the Dead, Día de los Muertos, is a 2-day holiday that reunites the living and dead. Families create ofrendas, offerings, to honor their departed family members that have passed. These altars are decorated with bright yellow marigold flowers, photos of the departed, and the favorite foods and drinks of the one being honored. The offerings are believed to encourage visits from the land of the dead as the departed souls hear their prayers, smell their food, and join in the celebrations. Day of the Dead is a rare holiday for celebrating death and life. It is unlike any holiday where mourning is exchanged for celebration. Because that is what it says. I mean, what do you guys are thoughts up to now, up to this point?
Well, because I remember, like, I do remember, again, like stuff I was looking up and everything, because, again, like, a person who was looking up for witch stuff and everything, and, like, I wanted to know also, like, a bit more of my, like, I guess, like,
Heritage, culture.
yeah, my heritage culture, like, things, like, we did that was different. And when I found that out, like, I do think I remember asking you, I want to say it was in middle school, because I remember, I
Hmm.
think towards high school, I kind of, like, dropped it again. And I, like, why didn't we? And I remember you said, like, I don't know, like, we just never did. I remember I asked Dad, and he said, like, no, yeah, like, he does, like, remember seeing other people celebrate it, and, like, he said his family did for a while, too, but, like, they just also just stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure, like, to this day if they still do or not. But, no, yeah, I also asked him, too, like, why didn't he ever thought of introducing it to me and Valerie? And he said, like, it just never came into his mind. And when I looked up more into it, I thought, like, that's pretty cool. I want to try to do something like that. And, like, I do admit, I just forgot. As terrible
Yeah.
as that sounds and everything, I'm pretty sure I get some flack for that. I just forgot.
Well, but I think also because, I mean, we're not used to that.
Mhm.
And I asked your dad too. When all of this was coming up, and again, this was just like a couple of years ago, and I asked him too, I said, well, okay, I mean, we didn't celebrate it, but if you did when you were a kid, why didn't you, ever bring it up? And he just said, you know what, I don't know. And I mean, you got to also remember your dad got here when he was just, I think he was 13, 14 years old. So he was pretty young too. And
Mm-hmm.
then, what happens, it's sad because I feel like what happens to many immigrant families from, it doesn't matter what country you're coming from, but when you get here, you adapt. And I'm a product of that. My parents, I was born and raised here in the US, but I'm very much Americanized. And there was a time that I did blame my mom a lot, okay? And I was like, why didn't she? But I think also like they were here in the 60s and 70s, and there was a lot of pressure. Even when I was a kid, there was a lot of pressure to be American, basically act, for lack of a better word, to act white.
Mm-hmm.
And we all kind of, because you want to be a part of society and work. And so it was so much so that by the time our parents had us, I feel like my mom herself too was very Americanized. My dad, I mean, I didn't meet him. He passed away when I was really young, but it sounds like he was already very Americanized as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad because I know it's not just a Hispanic thing. I've heard it, I've seen talk shows where they've talked about Asian Americans, and it doesn't matter like what country, but when you're here and then, you're born and raised here, everybody's trying to fit in. And a
Yeah.
lot of our culture is lost because of that, and it's sad. But it's not forgotten, and I feel like this is why when we decided to do this today, I was excited because it means, it's not forgotten and it's not going to get lost, because it's knowledge that hopefully maybe if somebody didn't know or was interested kind of like us, well, at least this maybe by us talking about it and other people like starting that conversation, that's keeping that alive,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of what Day of the Dead is, right? It's a celebration.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Like it's from what I understand, like it's not a very sad holiday. It's like to remember like the people who they were, their lives, like what they eat, like share stories, laugh, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so I found this also interesting. It says here, because it's 2 days, and that's another thing. I thought that it was just a 1 day thing, but
I thought it was three
no.
days, so I give it an extra day in my head.
It says it's sometimes to 2 to 4 days. It just depends. So you're not wrong. But I found this interesting because it says, so November 1st at midnight, it's called Dia de los Angelitos, Spirits of the Children. Dia de los Angelitos, Day of the Little Angels, starts the holiday at midnight on November 1st, where the spirits of all deceased children are believed to be reunited with their families for 24 hours. Families construct an altar known as an ofrenda with the departed child's favorite snacks, candies, toys, and photographs to encourage a visit for the departed children. The names of the departed children will often be written on a sugar skull. On November 2nd, midnight, Dia de los Difuntos, Spirits of the Adults. At midnight of the following day, November 2nd, the celebration shifts to honor the lives of the departed adults. The night is filled with laughter and fun memories, much like the night before. However, the ofrendas take on a more adult-like theme with tequila, pan de muerto, mezcal, pulque, and jars of atole. Families will also play games together, reminisce about their loved ones, and dance while the village band plays in their town. And then November 2nd, noon, Dia de los Muertos, Spirits of all the Dead. The next day is the grand finale and public celebrations of Dia de los Muertos. In more recent times, people come together in their cities dressed up with calavera painted faces, skeletons, and have parades in the streets. Cemetery visits are also common on the last day, as families will go to decorate the grave sites with marigold flowers, gifts, and sugar skulls with the departed names on them. It's customary to clean the grave stone and restore the color. So I didn't know any of that. That's pretty cool.
I knew the decorations, but not the restoring of the grave thing.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
see. I was the opposite. That's funny.
What do you mean?
That I knew that they like cleaned up the gravestone, but I didn't know that they like that it they people actually like go and decorate it. I thought ofrendas were at home and they would just go for
Mm-hmm.
like the day, clean it, maybe leave their favorite food and then go home.
No, yeah. It's a big thing in Mexico. It's a huge thing because people will actually go and spend all day there in the cemetery. We'll be cooking there. It's a party.
Hmm.
So then it goes on to how people celebrate Day of the Dead. Calaveras, which means skull.
Hmm.
Calaveras are ubiquitous during Day of the Dead. The skulls are often drawn with a smile as to laugh at death itself. They take many forms, such as sugar candies, clay decorations, and most memorable, face painting. Sugar skulls are decorated and placed on ofrendas of loved ones. A calavera, or sugar skull, is a decorative skull made, usually by hand, from either sugar, called alfeñiques, I think I butchered that, or clay, which are used in the Mexican celebration of the Day of the Dead. The next one is Flor de Muerto, Mexican marigolds. Marigolds are believed to be the pathways that guide the spirits to their ofrendas. The flowers' vibrant color and scent attract the departed souls as they return to feast on their favorite foods. They are called Flor de Muertos, Spanish for flower of the dead, and they symbolize the beauty and fragility of life. Marigold flowers include around 60 annuals and perennials that are native to Mexico and Central America. Ofrenda, the offering. While the most recognizable aspects of Day of the Dead are the representations of skulls and skeletons, the tradition that holds the most meaning is the ofrenda. The ofrenda is what the whole celebration is about. It's a collection of offerings dedicated to the person being honored. A brightly colored oilcloth covers the table, and on top of that sits a collection of photographs and personal items of the departed person. The lower portion of the altar is where the offerings are placed, from traditional Mexican cuisine to other items that represent the honored person's particular taste. But something that I've always wondered is, this is gonna sound silly, but like, what happens to the offering? Like, do they leave the offerings up all year? Or what happens? Like, I don't understand that part.
Yeah, I think they leave it up until either the food goes bad or they see that it's like it's getting stale or whatever.
Hmm.
Because think about it, it's kind of like an altar. Like if you put food or something there in front of the altar, like you don't put it there just for the day and then take it away.
What happens if you remove it on the next day? Like, do you think,
I
I
think
don't
it's
know,
just disrespectful.
you think your family will get cursed? Yeah.
I think it,
Disrespect.
I think it's just disrespect, yeah, because the ofrenda and anything you put there to offer to them, it's for them. So
Hmm.
how is it gonna be? It's like giving
Right, and then you take
something
it
to
away.
someone.
Right.
I
Okay.
did. It's funny because like all the facts we've been saying, I'm like, this is all that I had. So, one that I did have was one that said that it wasn't like Halloween because, and I'm gonna switch up the wording, but basically, on Halloween, Hallows Eve, it's when the veil between spirit world and our world gets lifted, right?
Hmm.
And that allows like all these creatures to come through. So what do? We hide. We dress up in plain sight to blend in with them so that they won't
Hmm.
stay. Versus with Day of the Dead, it's more to invite our past loved ones.
Okay. Yeah.
I just thought that that was really like neat if you think about it.
No, it is. It's really, and it's unique. You're right. It's so sad that at the end of the day, like I tell you, I grew up thinking it was like the Mexican Halloween, which is
Yeah.
not at all. Well, the traditions are different also by country. So it's Mexicans are not the only ones to celebrate Day of the Dead. It is widely celebrated. It's a celebrated holiday all over the world, and in fact, many religious communities celebrate All Souls Day, also known as All Saints Day, during the same day as the Day of the Dead. So the act of honoring the dead is widely celebrated around the world, but Day of the Dead is unique in the traditions of the ofrendas, the meaning of life and death, the use of calaveras, the style influenced by La Catrina, and more recently the festivals in the streets. So that is unique to the Mexican way of celebrating, but many other countries celebrate a form of Dia de los Muertos.
All right. So we learned something new today.
And I mean, I don't know. So, do you ladies feel like now you guys are gonna start? You guys are gonna want to start celebrating that?
I think I want to, especially like with my own kids. Like again, like I guess it's again like I said, we live in a town like pretty much like at the border town and everything. And out
Mhm.
here, like some of their like again, a lot of them too, a lot of the kids around my age and everything, a lot of them didn't celebrate. I want to say very small handful actually did. And that's
Mhm.
because a lot of them, like, their husbands or wives, or like, they were newly crossed over and everything. And, they were still pretty much wanting, like, oh, we're going to still keep to our traditions and everything.
Mhm.
And the rest of us were like, what? Like, what is this? Like, we wanted to know. And I think a lot of us were like, oh, we want to find out and hear, like, learn more of our culture and everything. And some of us, like, were like, no, because, like, they're like, well, my family doesn't celebrate, like, there must be a reason. And for me, it was like, I had a feeling if me and enough of kids in our family had said, like, we wanted to, I think we would have. But we're also, like, the ones, like, well, like, no, like, if they're not bringing it up, there's no reason for me to bring it up.
I think I want to start celebrating it. I've been thinking like this whole year, like the beginning of the year, honestly, that I wanted to set up something, even if it was something small. I just haven't done it. Yeah, out of sheer laziness, I haven't. That's the only reason why I didn't celebrate this year. But I think next year, I for sure want to at least attempt to try.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like a nice holiday, really, and something
Mm-hmm.
nice to do.
Yeah, I agree. And again, it makes me sad to think that because I know we're not the only ones. I know that there's many like us that don't know a lot about our culture, and it makes me sad because like I said, I know that my mom and my dad, I know that they I can't if growing up I felt a little out of place. I can't even imagine how they felt, you know. And they were and I hate it when people I hear so many people like, "Oh, our ancestors came here legally from well, my parents did too. They were here legally from the beginning, but that still doesn't mean that they weren't discriminated against and to the point that they felt because I grew up in the era of don't speak Spanish, speak English.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
That's the era that I grew up in, and I'm pretty sure that's the era that they grew up in. Or they started, living here that way, and it doesn't matter if you're here legal or not, or if you came here legally or not,
Hmm.
because so that it makes me sad for that reason, because there's so much that I don't know about my own culture. But at the flip side, it does also make me happy to know that now not only am I interested in it, but that you guys are interested too. So
Hmm.
thank you for that as well, because I think that that's amazing.
I think we all just need that little push to like actually do our research and try and go back.
In that, I am happy with the movie Coco, because I think that that
Hmm.
kind of brought a lot of the interest out in people,
Yeah.
so I am grateful for that too.
Hmm.
Anyways, do you all have anything else to add, or are we done
Mm,
here?
not that I could think of.
Yeah, I think we covered all of it.
And then another little thing, you guys, it's time for stoner facts. Yeah, yeah. Stoner facts. Okay, you
Why did
guys.
that sound like a robot though?
I know.
What the hell? What a talent.
Right? All right, guys. So I got this off of wellbeing.jhu.edu. And so marijuana contains more than 100 substances called cannabinoids. The two most well understood are THC and CBD, which each cause different effects. So, do you guys know how? I mean, I've always heard that marijuana stays in your system for at least 30 days.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, so this is the reason why. Because both are fat soluble, which means that they are stored in the body's fat and can show up in a drug test even weeks after use. So that's why, because it's actually my fat's fault. Damn it.
Uh, that's the ultimate portrayal of a body, for real.
Right? Like, how dare you? Like, gosh, darn it.
Damn it.
CBD is a component of marijuana that is often used for medicinal purposes, and research has shown it to be useful in combating certain types of childhood epilepsy. THC is the psychoactive part of the marijuana that causes users to feel high. So a lot of times when people, they say it's take this, it's CBD infused. I always find it so funny that people, oh, okay, and then they take it and then they start, oh yeah, I feel kind of weird because it's like, no, CBD is not the one that gives you those effects. CBD is the medicinal part of it. So you're not really going to experience that. But I feel like the mind is so powerful that you do feel it because you think that you're taking something with, you know, the
Hmm.
psychoactive part, which is THC.
It's the placebo effect.
Yeah, for real.
I could see
Eh,
that.
Yeah. So, anyways, you
Am I
guys,
the only
that
one here who
was,
hates the placebo effect?
I mean, we all kind of, what do you mean? Like the actual placebo effect or the movie?
What? No,
'Cause I think
the
there's a
What?
movie.
wait, there's a movie?
Well, there's movies about it. I don't know. Anyway, why do you hate it? That's so weird. Like, what do you mean?
Like it's just I don't know, cause like it's like telling someone like, oh, like, because remember you tried to use that on me and Valerie before, like medicine saying they taste like nothing or it tastes like the candy. You describe it for us, and it never freaking works with me. Like I freaking hate that.
That's not what the placebo effect is. That's not what that means. Do you know what it means, Noodles?
Yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna describe it right, but I've always thought it was like, for instance, like this, like if you give someone uh that CBD, I guess it was, but
Uh-huh.
and say like, oh, this is weed, it's gonna get you high, and then you take it and you start feeling the effects of like, oh my God, I'm getting so high, but then they turn around and be like, ah, JK, like it's not supposed to get you high, like it doesn't do that,
Yeah.
and then you have just been pretending this whole time like you felt like you were, but you weren't.
Yeah.
Or like if someone were to give, I don't know, someone else like Coke and then be like, oh, it's spiked, like you're gonna get drunk now, and then they act like they're getting drunk, but in all actuality, there's no alcohol in it. It's
Like
just
there was
soda.
just soda. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also used like for in medicine. Like there's how what is that called when people hypochondriacs? A hypochondriac. Do you know what that is? Okay, those are people that I'm assuming that's a no because you all didn't answer. So that's it's people who think they have a disease, but they don't really. Like they're always constantly thinking up that they have a disease, and they go to the doctor because they're feeling the symptoms, but it's all in their mind.
Hmm.
What they end up giving them are placebos, are literally just sugar pills. That's what it is. But they give that to them and that tricks their brain into thinking that they're taking something for whatever it is that is affecting them. And then I just Googled it, and this is what Google says. The placebo effect is when a person's health improves after taking a placebo or a treatment that is designated to have no therapeutic benefit. The word placebo comes from Latin and means I shall please. That's weird.
Okay, but that was probably used for something else.
Yeah, so yeah, I think that yeah, that's different, I think, what you were thinking of. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's almost basically the same thing. You're tricking people.
No, because
Yes, it's a trick. It's a trick to
everybody
like.
tells their kids it's gonna taste fine, and everyone knows it doesn't. Come
No,
on.
but that's what I'm saying. Like the placebo effect. I remember people like even doctors like saying, "Oh, take this medicine, like it will help me feel better, or whatever, and everything." And like it, nothing really happens. Like I could tell, like, okay, I feel like I just took a damn pill, like a powdered pill, and that's it.
Okay, but that's not the placebo. I guess because if it doesn't work, then it's not the placebo effect. Because the placebo effect is when it does work. When it's like if I gave you water and I tell you like, hey, this water is infused with, I don't know, whatever cells that bring you lots of energy, and you drink it
Ew.
and it starts giving you all this energy. But it's just water, but you in your mind, it tricked your mind to think that it was real. That's the placebo effect. Not if I tell you, drink this, it's not going to be nasty, and you drink it and it's nasty. I think
She's
that's
just
just,
tricking you at that point.
yeah, that's just, me being a good parent, giving you your medicine.
Yeah, that's more of a trick. That's not the placebo effect.
Anyways, you guys, that was Stoner Facts.
I know that's off
Oh
branding, but it's fine.
gosh. All right, ladies. Well, before we move on and say our goodbyes, we do have an announcement, right? We're gonna be changing our times from our live streams from it's just gonna be an hour later. It's gonna be at 11 Mountain Standard Time, 11 a.m. 11-ish, within that hour.
Between 11
Just,
and 12, just know that.
yeah, between 11 and 12. And that's gonna be starting on Monday. Okay, so yeah, I hope you guys continue supporting us. And if you're new to the channel, please give us a follow. All right, ladies, thank you so much. I'm Mida,
I'm Muzica.
And I'm Noodles.
and we're bluntly talking. Bye.
Bye.
See you laters. Hey, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and follow us on our other social media.